Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you guys all here today. You are on Leadership to Wealth podcast, and I'm your host, Neil D'Souza. And we're on a journey really to talk with people that are leaders in their lives, and they're helping you to build wealth. So today we've got with us a special guest. He's like the CIA because we don't know a lot about him, but we're about to find out about Busboy millionaire Arthur Shah. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have today on the show. Arthur, how are you doing today? Glad to have you.
I'm good, man. Just living the pandemic dream at home. No, we're fine. Everything is good. My boys are, one of them's online high school student. The other one's in elementary school, so he still goes to school.
Okay.
My wife works from home, so she's not here right now. She's upstairs, but yeah, everything's been pretty good considering, How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on today. And I've obviously been able to see you on TikTok. I know you're on all the social media, and you try to help people in the area of real estate, and that's one of the things that we'll get to later on in the podcast. But just to start, why don't we start with some simple rapid fire questions just to get us warmed up and
Sure.
and get to know you a little bit more, because you're sort of the mystery man, but we want to find out some things.
Everything will be solved after this.
That's right.
No stone unturned.
We'll solve all the world's problems at the end. Okay, perfect. Okay, here we go. First question. Where were you born?
I was born in actually sunny Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, wonderful. From the island.
Yeah, I was born there, and my parents came up here like when I was 2. So I'm born there, but I'm a Toronto boy.
Nice. So really you bleed blue and white, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah. Yeah. Oddly enough, I'm not a big sports fan, to tell you the truth. I played a little bit of basketball.
Yeah.
And I was rooting for the Raptors and everything, but I'm missing the sports gene. It's very odd. And my brother is a voracious sports fanatic, but anyways.
And not you. All right. I see that you may be a Transformer fan in the back, but
yeah.
And what? Okay, I don't have a rapid fire question, but it looks like you're a movie buff.
You know what? I do like movies. I've always been like a Star Wars science fiction dude.
Yeah.
And I still rock a Star Wars t-shirt that my brother gave me. My brother gives me like the best clothes. Like he gave me this, and he always gets me like Star Wars models and stuff like that. So I don't know. Yeah, it's just my thing. I remember going to see the original Star Wars movies downtown.
Well, question number 3 then. Favorite movie
of the Star Wars franchise or general?
Of all time?
Weekend at Bernie's, because
Weekend at Bernie's.
and only topped by Weekend at Bernie's Part 2.
Okay.
Like a bunch of guys dragging around a dead body all over town.
Yeah. Okay. So if going off of some of the lighter movies, if you were a character from one of the Marvel movies, superhero or villain, who would you be?
Oh, that's an easy one. And I still there's hints to it in some of the work that I do and some of the upcoming Busboy work that people will see. The Hulk. I was a skinny kid, and not constantly, but getting beat up quite a bit. But I was also really into art.
Right.
And I used to draw the Hulk all the time. And I thought at that time, when I was in junior high and stuff, I thought I was going to become a comic book artist.
Oh,
and
okay.
The Hulk.
So, the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. Now I'm a hulking dad that needs to lose about 15 pounds.
Yes, I'm sure the audience can definitely agree with what's happened in COVID. We've all put on a couple extra pounds for sure. So, okay. How about favorite book?
This is going to sound like a cliche real estate investing thing, but it's the book that changed my life. Was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah. I've got a couple of Rich Dad Poor Dad books right up here. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few of them, and sometimes when people come over, like my teenage son's friends, they were over the other day, and not the other day, this was before COVID, and I handed out a couple copies. I said, guys, they were getting jobs and thinking about money, and I said, read this book. And I remember specifically seeing the interview with Robert Kiyosaki on Oprah. Mm-hmm. This was before, like classic Oprah, and when he was the first time he was ever on that. And I said, I got to get that book. And I got that book and I read it, and it really focused some of the thoughts I had and opened my eyes to some other things. Because I wasn't like completely in the dark about wealth, but I always liked to read books about real estate and stuff. But his was very clarifying on the bigger world of wealth creation.
Yeah.
And not just about real estate. So
yeah, absolutely.
But then the next book after that, though, would be Lord of the Rings. When I was a kid, I loved reading those thick ass Tolkien books.
I remember seeing it and thinking, when I was a kid, seeing the Lord of the Rings in the library, when we used to visit the library and look at physical books. Right. And I was like, wow, I'm never reading this book. Way too many pages. And then I ended up getting into reading novels and read a whole bunch of, the thicker the better. But I got into all the Lord of Shannara books.
I don't know.
Oh, anyways, whole another series.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's great. Okay. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What about favorite place to visit in the world? You can have been there, maybe, or maybe not.
Yeah. I've recently, well, not recently, but no, more than about 7-8 years ago, I started visiting a place in Florida, just south of Tampa, called Anna Maria Island, and it's old school Florida, and it's about an hour south of Tampa. Yeah. And when I say old school, they have rules like no building is over 3 stories tall. There's no fast food places on the island. And I would rent a house, the family and I, about a 3-minute walk from the beach. And I'd go fishing every day, 4 or 5 times a day. I'd just fish and swim and eat and drink and hang out. And it changed I didn't have like such a strong opinion about Americans, but they're really super nice. Like, just, an obviously visible minority in Southern Florida. And they were like just really, really nice people. They were very, very friendly. And I didn't get a sense of any kind of, they talk about the racism down there, and I never got a sense of it. It was just really, really great experience. And I miss the place, actually. And when I see all the news about Florida and the crazy that's going on right now down there, it breaks my heart, because I know I can't go down there for a long time until things calm down. But yeah, that's my favorite place.
Right. Okay, so let's get into the leadership portion of the podcast, where we really want to talk about sort of your journey, Arthur, and how you've kind of gotten here, right? Because I really feel like one of the most important parts is to understand some of the things that you've gone through to become the man, the myth, the legend, busboy millionaire. Yeah. And so, obviously you mentioned coming from Trinidad and coming up here at a very early age. And and for a lot of people, they would say, unfortunately, you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. But other than that, tell us a little bit about, where you grew up in Canada and sort of your journey. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. If you thought the Lord of the Rings trilogy was a journey, this mine was not as exciting. But okay, so parents came to Toronto, directly to Toronto. I know there's some folks doing a circuitous way, but settled in downtown Toronto, and we grew up near Dufferin Mall, literally a block away from Dufferin Mall. And my parents worked at Kellogg's Salata on the factory line, but eventually they opened up one of the first roti shops in the city. At that time, there's like maybe 2 or 3. What did they know about a restaurant or business? Like zero. Okay, zero. But they bought this house that they were renting, and the house came with like a storefront. And the guy that owned the house used to sell burgers out of there. But then when they bought it, they said, okay, we're going to open a roti shop. So they opened this roti shop. I grew up in the roti shop. And my mom...
So they converted the burger shop into a roti shop.
Yeah, it was just like a little storefront. Like the size of it was like you could barely fit 10 people in there at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
And your parents ran this.
My parents ran it. I worked in there. My brother worked in there. And oddly enough, like one of the first real estate lessons I ever got was my mom. I call her the OG Airbnb because she used to rent out rooms in the house. Like the way the house was separated, my room was on the second floor, and I shared that second floor with 2 renters. They had their own rooms. And the bathroom with the shower and everything, I used that with the other renters that were there. There was like 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms. And my mom would rent it out weekly to these guys, like these single, guys that, needed a place that was cheap. So grew up there and stayed in Toronto. Went to high school right across the street. Then I went to York University, dropped out, and probably one of the best things I ever did because I got a job in advertising. And that job in advertising was amazing and transformative.
Whoa, hang on a second. So you went to York University and dropping out was the best thing that you ever did. But that was because you got on with an advertiser. Yeah.
So real estate wasn't in my sights at all back then.
Yeah.
But business was. I like business and I also like creativity. Mm-hmm. And then I saw this movie with Tom Hanks called Nothing in Common. And he was an advertising guy. And I said, I got to do that job. That looks like a great job. It's got everything that I want, like business, creativity, looks like fun. And I stumbled into an advertising job, and I became a copywriter and eventually a creative director. So the copywriter works with an art director, and we come together and we solve client problems. So with marketing ideas, everything from commercials, print ads, radio ads, billboards, all that stuff. So that was what my job was: come up with an idea, craft it, get it produced, get it on the air, or get it in a magazine or in a newspaper. And I spent my career was about 30 years, and it was fantastic. Like I loved it. I loved the people. I met my wife through it. My best friends today are the people that I met through that business. And it was while I was in that business that my sights turned to real estate because of one of the downsides of business.
Okay.
That's cliffhanger.
Tell us more. Okay. So you got into this business, commercial advertising, loved it, met a ton of great people, but something perked your interest to kind of look a little bit.
I started to have an interest in real estate back then.
Yeah.
I used to see, I don't know if you remember, but there used to be this guy, Carlton Sheets or Tom Vu. They used to have these late night pitching courses and stuff.
Yes.
Talk about, take this course, you're going to learn how to invest in real estate. So, okay. I ordered one of them actually. And I remember it came in this gray binder, and there was all these tabs and all these steps and all that kind of stuff. and I started reading it, but I really didn't get into it. I was too into the advertising.
Mm.
Like it was a fun job, man. It's like you make great money and you got to travel the world and go on exotic shoots and that sort of stuff.
Anything interesting that we might have seen in mainstream? And
well, the last gig I had right before I retired again a year ago, the last gig I had was I was the creative director on Mercedes-Benz Canada. So I managed Mercedes-Benz Canada for 2 years nationally.
Right.
So we did a lot of the way that the car business is kind of funny, where they kind of do all the big TV spots. They do it in one place and then they farm it out to the different countries, because a car is a car is a car, right?
Right.
And so they just save money by doing like a couple major spots and then putting it in the States or Canada.
Right. Right. A location that maybe you can't identify whether it's one place.
So there's efficiency, right? But what happened with marketing in the last 5 years is social media has dominated so much, and the need for content has grown so much that budgets were given to local areas. So we got quite sizable budget to do content for Mercedes-Benz Canada. So, and a lot of creative freedom, because they didn't have to answer to the mothership in Germany. So we did some really, really cool things. Like the last thing I did is we built an ice dealership in Gimli, Manitoba on Lake Winnipeg.
Wow.
Like a full on, like there was like 4 or 5 cars in this ice dealership. And we shot a whole bunch of content around it. And we had a concert there. And it was a real big success on their social media. So that was one of the big projects I did that I was really proud of. And I almost froze to death, but it's fine. It's like minus 45. It's like literally Gimli, Manitoba is literally the coldest place on earth.
Really?
Yeah, it's not like the North Pole or it's so cold there. It's nuts. And we're shooting outside all the time.
And you guys chose to shoot shoot content there.
Yeah, well, actually, the Mercedes AMG Driving Academy. Yeah, they have a winter driving academy out on the lake there because the lake's frozen. So you get to boot. They make these awesome tracks on the ice. So you get to get into a Mercedes, an AMG Mercedes, and boot it around a track and do like spin outs and all that kind of stuff. So guys pay like $5,000 for a weekend to go up there.
Okay, so here's the real question: Did you get in there and get out onto the track?
No. here's the thing that I always kick myself for. We did 2 Mercedes AMG track things. Yeah. I've never once been able to get into a car, just because like we're so busy. But
you're the director.
You're
too busy directing.
Yeah, you're too busy working.
Yeah.
And it was. Yeah, but that's the job. I'll get my own AMG and I'll drive it.
Yeah, that's right. And get out to what was it? Gimli,
Manitoba.
Gimli, Manitoba. That's awesome. And just go take it out yourself. You can do that.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, I've been here many times before.
Yeah.
Never driving, but
it's actually a beautiful part of I was considering renting the house that I rented to live there.
Yeah.
I was considering going back up there in the summer with my family. It's beautiful. It's really gorgeous.
So, okay. So basically, your parents started this mom and pop roti shop. Mom and pop roti shop. It sounds like, that's awesome. And you got into advertising.
Yeah.
Loved it. Did an entire career with it. Met lots of great people. And so, but somewhere along the way there, you took some courses or got a course, but yet you were still dominated by advertising. So right. How did real estate get into the picture?
That's an excellent question, Neil.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
because I got to hear a bit of the backstory about your wife, because I heard that the only reason that she married you was because you were a genius.
That's a good start here. Okay. So advertising is a very interesting kind of business.
Yeah.
To put it succinctly, quickly, is it's a young man's game.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
as a creative person, there's different parts of the advertising sphere, but
Yeah.
as a creative person, uh, advertising looks very fondly on young people because they think that they have the freshest ideas.
Right, right. That creativity. Okay.
Right. So as I was progressing through the business, it's like a pyramid, right? It's where there's a few people at the top making a lot of money and a bunch of people at the bottom making crap.
Okay.
As you raise up the ranks,
Yeah.
and if you can manage to get up there, which I did, um, there's less opportunity, right?
Mm.
Less jobs, right? So at a certain point, the first time I made uh, over
Sounds
six,
like a pyramid scheme there for a
right.
moment.
Um, the first time I made over six figures, I realized, I said, I'm not going to make this forever. Excuse me. I'm going to be, aged out of a job. And at that time, I want to say I was 30 something, 32 or something. And and I said, I need a backup plan. I need a plan B. And I dug more into real estate. I was always buying real estate books, and at the age of 30, I'd bought my first home by accident. And I I bought the first house, and then I said, I need to buy more houses because I need that backup plan. I need a retirement plan. I
Mhm.
need that plan B. So, uh, oddly enough, I'll never forget the first rental that I bought. I was closing it between two jobs. Like I'd quit one job and I was going to another job. And that was the first rental that I closed in those 2 weeks. And then that job that I went to 5 years later fired me. The first time I'd ever been fired. And I was an executive making about $160,000 a year,
Yeah.
not without bonuses and stuff. And I remember getting fired. I saw it coming. It's myriad of reasons. Um, and I called my wife and I said, I just got let go. And she goes, she was like, "Oh, okay, are we gonna be all right?" I said, yeah. By that time we had 5 houses because
Yeah.
I made it a goal to buy a house every year.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and it was such a feeling of I did the right thing.
Yeah.
Like I got screwed on that firing, but they gave me a really great severance, by the way. I still
Right.
call my renovated kitchen the ex-agency wing of my house because it's but still, I it was proof that we did the right thing. And after that, we kept buying, and then I got fired from another job. And it was a job I only took because I wanted a salary so I could go to the bank so I could buy another house.
Okay. Yeah.
Because banks love salaries, right?
Yeah. So you just looked at it as an opportunity. Let me get this job because it'll enable me to
Yeah.
basically get another rental property.
Yeah, because I was freelancing at the time, and the bank doesn't like freelancers. So yeah. So anyways, that was the reason. That's how I got into it. And
Right.
uh, it was solely out of desperation and a backup plan. So
Right.
it was no big epiphany, And
Right.
the interesting thing, I still have my friends today that are in advertising and are my age, and have been aged out, and they are always looking for freelance work, and it's hard. And they all say, "Man, you were so smart back then. You did the smartest thing." And I go, "I wasn't smart. I was just desperate. I was scared that when
Yeah.
I get to a certain age, I'm not going to have a job." So
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, sometimes it's not always a matter of being able to, oh, I've got this great dream to create this empire, but rather, out of out of concern, out of some fear, you really were able to look at it and, see the writing on the wall, so to say, and just thought, let's do some preparation just in case.
Yeah. And the other thing too was I was so naive about real estate. Like I remember specifically when we'd just gotten married, we were in the house, we hadn't bought the new one yet, the first rental, and we got a financial planner.
Mm-hmm.
And I was interested in the real estate then. And he came in with his binder, and I still have the binder in the attic. And he said, what do you, and I asked him about real estate. I go, what do you think about investing in real estate? Because nothing in his recommendations had anything to do with real estate. And he just looked at me and said, do you want to go fix the toilet at 3 a.m?
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, no, I don't. No, I don't want to go fix the toilet. And I was like, ah. And oddly enough, one of the first tenant disasters I had to do with a bathroom and a leak that was going into from the bathroom going down to the first tenant on the main floor. And that was the one when I came back, like the house was right next to ours, a couple hours down. And I was walking to work and the tenant comes out and he goes, can I show you this thing? And I go look and I go, holy smokes. This was the first one that we bought. And I go, what have I done? Like, how am I going to fix this thing?
Right.
And I went back home and I told my wife, and then I just said, I'm just going to have to find somebody to fix it. And that's what I did. I found somebody. And then the problem was fixed. And, that's what happened. You get, like any business, there's always challenges. And this was like, okay, there's a hole in the ceiling. I get somebody that fixes holes and somebody that knows about bathrooms. I can find those. This is before the internet too, right?
Right. Okay. Right?
So you're making calls, you open up the yellow pages and you're going, okay, I'll get this guy. You call somebody that knows somebody. Yeah. So I ended up going into that, even though, people were saying that it wasn't the best thing to get into, but you learn as you go. And then it became more, I really got into it. Like I really started to learn how to be an investor.
Right.
And I saw the genius in it and how I could keep my job. Like I kept my job. It's only like, I was only COVID canceled a year ago from a full-time job that I took just because it was a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But all the while I was doing real estate, I was employed. I had a full-time job and I ran everything myself. I property managed everything. I took care of tenants. I had an Airbnb business, but I did it all. And I had executive position jobs, like lots of work. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of mental energy in those jobs. So what you're saying is that Busboy Millionaire was created by getting fired.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Quit school, get fired, for sure. Yeah.
Realize your secret to success is realize that you're going to get fired, build a backup plan just in case, and then let them fire you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, it's partly like when you read all these books too, everybody, they kind of hint to, here are the good points of, 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
and here are the pitfalls of a 9 to 5. There's no loyalty anymore, right? I worked with somebody that her husband actually was waiting to get a pension. Like he was actually in a job that he was going to get a pension. In advertising, I don't know what other jobs now, but there's no pension, there's no union,
Mm-hmm.
there's no safety net. Like you've got to.
Yeah. I used to work for the federal government, and
right.
we would have had a pension.
Yeah. So, that was the catalyst, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for getting into it and enjoying it. And like after you figure it out, like after you, I remember buying the first house and going and getting tenants, and I actually did my first reno too.
Yeah.
Like we renovated one of the floors and split one apartment into two.
Yeah.
I'd never done a reno before.
Yeah.
It's like I've never done any of that stuff, but yeah,
So what would you say has been your I don't know, your biggest mess up? You're like, oh man, I did this one time. What was that?
in the real estate world?
In real estate world, yeah.
Um, the Going against my own advice about how I pick tenants.
Okay.
So I had a criteria, and I don't have spreadsheets and manuals and checklists. Like you see all of these guys, they kind of have all this, like they've written everything down, and I just kind of know what I needed to know to get a good tenant. And one of the things was I always checked every tenant, did a credit check. I did a work letter. I didn't do like police check or anything like that. I did 2 or 3 things. Oh, landlord reference. And I had this really great girl that was living in this questionable basement apartment. Just because it was really low, but she was a cute girl, so she was so famous. We got along famously. Then she gets a boyfriend.
Okay.
And she said, "Hey,
This is the beginning of the end here." Okay.
Yeah. So she gets a boyfriend, and she says, "Can I move into the 1 bedroom above me?" I said, "Sure. It's more money, but now you guys are together. You guys can." And I didn't check him. I didn't check anything about the guy.
Right.
And he turned out to be a freak show, and it was one of not a lot of bad experiences with tenants, and I eventually had to get them evicted. But it was one of those. I didn't listen to my own advice. But overall, like for real estate and deals and buying places and tenants and stuff, it's been 99.99% positive.
Yeah.
I've
Now,
had
did
some
it take a long
adventures with
time?
Airbnb. Sorry?
Sorry?
I've had some adventures with Airbnb, but
Yeah.
also really, really positive.
Yeah. Did it take what did it take to recover from that situation with the boyfriend?
Oh, I just had to I had one time I had to go over there, and he was also terrorizing the tenants above. So it was a big ugly thing, and I had to go over there one day and just get in his face. And I'm a joker. I'm not a fighter, but he was just making me so mad.
Yeah.
And we were like nose to nose, and I just left, and I was doing the proceedings of eviction, and then I served them the papers. And as soon as they saw the real eviction papers,
Right.
they were like, "Okay, we're out." So then they left, and that was it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And any damage to the apartment?
No.
No.
Oh. I've never had. No, I've never. Knock on wood again, that I've never had anybody like really leave and do a trash job on a place.
Yeah.
And we would tend to get like, in our neighborhood and stuff, we tend to get more not affluent, but yeah, like a good, really
good
good
demographic, financially, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So now, since we've already gotten into it, why don't we kind of move into that wealth building portion and of the podcast, and just talk a little bit about. You've already shared a little bit about how you began to build your wealth accidentally by getting fired, but I know that you're very vocal on social media. You're always trying to help people with tips, landlord tips, and that. What would you teach someone starting out, or for some of your friends or coworkers in the industry that are like, "Hey, Arthur, tell us, come on, give us the secret. How do we get this thing started if we want to start building this on the side as well?"
I think one of the biggest hurdles, and I realized it myself, and I don't know if I said this before, but I think the biggest hurdle to, like, just in particular, I'm just going to stick to real estate as a wealth building vehicle. It's fear and lack of knowledge, but it's like the biggest thing anyone can purchase, right? There's nothing like you can go buy some stock, do a little bit of research, $100 a month, your RSP,
Yeah.
take a look at it. But it's
Yeah.
pretty much but if you buy a house and you're putting down a lot of money,
Yeah.
a commitment to this thing, that's a big deal. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big parts that are in the obstacle to people. It's very intimidating. And
Mm-hmm.
but then what I realized was, after I bought the first place, the first rental, and I went, like I was becoming an experienced landlord. I realized that once you get over that psychological hurdle of
Yeah.
buying your first rental, then the next one's easy, because you realize it's just rinse and repeat. You're
Yeah.
doing the same thing over again. You're applying the same rules, the same experience. Um,
So,
to
hey, and let me just back you up for a second. So, what would you say is that psychological hurdle?
Because it's like I said, it's the biggest purchase.
Yeah.
And if you mess it up, people think that they're going to go broke. And
Okay.
that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario, if you buy a rental property and, okay, even say you want to buy your own house. Let's just back it up. Like, not even, you want to get your own place. If you make a mistake and buy badly, and you shouldn't buy badly, because there's so much information that's going to give you every advantage to buy smartly. But even if you do buy badly and the house turns out to be a money pit,
Mm-hmm.
the worst that can happen is you sell it and you can lose some money.
Right.
That's it. You're not going to go to jail, right? You could just lose some money. You won't go to jail. You won't go bankrupt unless you do. You could go bankrupt unless you do something ridiculously, dumb
Okay.
or dangerous. But once you get over that,
So
then
stay away from dumb and dangerous.
yeah, right.
Okay. Got
And
it.
it's so hard. You'd have to try very, very hard to get into such a bad position, or be completely ignorant and not listen to any good advice.
Right.
But once you get over that hurdle and get your own place, then you can go get another place and you can rent that out. But there's even lots of ways now. Like, I've been on the phone like every other day. I'm talking to guys that I'm meeting through TikTok and Instagram, young guys. I was on the phone with a young dude a couple days ago. He's 17.
Yeah.
My son is 17.
Yeah.
This guy is already doing wholesaling and bird dogging, and he's talking about getting a rental, doing a rental arbitrage. So he wants to manage Airbnb properties for people.
Okay. So hang on. Let's back up. So wholesaling and bird dogging.
You know what that is?
Wait. Tell us a little bit more. I know what it is.
You know what it is. Of course you know what it is. Wholesaling and bird dogging. Wholesaling is, you go look for distressed properties.
Yeah.
You go directly to the owner, and you offer to buy the place from the owner, but at a discounted rate. And you give the owner lots of reasons to buy it at a discounted rate, because they're going to get the money instantly. You don't have to pay commissions, et cetera, et cetera. So, say if a place is worth $200,000, and it looks like it's been neglected, you go to the owner and say, "I'll give you $150,000 on the spot," and that owner will say, "Okay, great, I'll take it. I need that money right away." So you give him 150, and then you immediately, as the wholesaler, go find a buyer, and that person will buy it with a fee that you've attached because you found the deal. So you could make a quick $10,000 or $15,000 in selling it to that next person. And
wow. So why would an individual sell it to you for less?
they're distressed.
They're distressed. Okay. So
They're
there's
distressed.
some work that perhaps needs to go into the property. And so they're thinking, rather than fix it up and sell it, hey, I'll take your offer. Yeah, it sounds reasonable.
And you make the offer really attractive. You're going to get the money right away. There's no commission fees you're going to have to pay if you got a real estate agent. I have nothing against real estate agents. I was one for a couple of years. But you're providing solutions for people, and they may need the money right away. They don't have the money to fix the place up, and they may need the money for something else. and you're providing a solution for them and also for the next person that wants to buy it. But
Right.
you're putting in the time and the effort. That's a whole industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's what this this young guy's doing at 17, I think you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I was amazed. And now he wants to get into Airbnb management. So he
Okay.
doesn't own a thing. And that's the other thing about this is there's ways to get into real estate where you actually don't own anything,
Right.
but you're using real estate to create wealth.
Right.
And that Airbnb rental arbitrage is
Yeah.
where you go and you rent out a place from a landlord, and then you rent it out on Airbnb for more. So you don't
Right.
own anything. You're just collecting cash flow. You're making the difference, the spread.
So this young guy has gone rented an apartment and then he rents out the apartment.
Yeah.
Now I've got to ask because I really thought that Airbnb was going to be decimated over this time because of COVID. How is he making that work in this era right now where people, quite frankly, aren't doing a whole lot of traveling?
Yeah, but I still list my places on Airbnb, but I can't rent anything out for less than 28 days because of the new Toronto bylaws. So
Okay.
I'm getting people that are transitioning jobs. I'm getting
Okay.
people that are doing renovations. So I've got like 2 or 3 tenants right now that are doing renovations in their house. So they're staying at my places for a few months.
Okay.
Yeah, and you get, like I said, sometimes you get business people that are coming here and they need a place still for a couple months. So yeah, he's getting people. So it's I'm not surprised. And plus, now that the vaccines are around and people are moving a bit, like it was brutal the first couple of months this time last year. Like I
Mhm.
lost a lot of bookings, but then I lost some short-term bookings because of COVID because these people couldn't travel. But then I gained longer term bookings because there's people that were stuck here.
Okay. Wow. So that's interesting. I'm guessing it was your yields probably came down a little bit because maybe it was you gave them a more favorable rate by them being there longer,
Yeah,
and so that saved you on probably the cleaning or any of those services that you would have needed, but you were able to still make that go even through and continue to do so even through COVID. It's
yeah.
amazing.
I was pretty, like, we have 14 doors, and I was pretty booked up until January.
Yeah.
Like I had a great spring. I was a scary spring, but like I said, I made up for it. The summer was awesome, then the fall, and then
Yeah.
but January and February in Airbnb is typically even in like non-COVID times, it does get slow. I always get a little
Mm.
nervous around that time, but then come February, we start getting bookings for the summer, and
Well, let me just throw this quick horror story out. I know of a lady last year that had somewhere in the range of 40 properties, Airbnb, and
she owned them all.
she owned them, highly leveraged, and had to sell quickly when COVID hit. And by you know within because she's basically sold them at a fire sale because she thought I can't afford to keep these, and was left with 3 by the end of it. Sold all the rest just to because she had so many bills and because she didn't have anyone Airbnb at the time. And what do you say to that, or what I
Well,
mean,
first,
I was
I feel
amazed.
yeah. First, I feel badly for her. Like
Yeah.
I never like to see anybody take a beating like that. It's
Yeah.
just. And here's the. I'll say a couple things. Here's the one thing. I've read a lot of real estate books, and I'll also say I've never read all of them cover to cover because I'm
What, you
lazy.
haven't read every real estate book?
But not even cover to cover. But I've read a lot of. But I'll tell you, you can look at every real estate book, and I guarantee you this: there's nothing in any real estate book about a pandemic.
Absolutely. Right. Right.
They give you they talk about cycles, they talk about, vacancy rates, they talk about renovations, they talk about all the things that could impact your investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not one of them has ever mentioned pandemic.
So no
So
one ever predicted pandemics as a
yeah,
way to profit or to watch out for in real
right.
estate.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I said, I feel badly for her, and she got this thing blindsided a lot of people. I think there was also people were seeing the profitability in short-term rental, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they were willing to take the chance and take that investment. And like you said, being heavily leveraged.
Yeah.
And we were having massive success with it. And I could have gone out and bought a whole bunch of condos and done that too. But there's still that safe side to me
Yeah.
where I didn't know like if it was going to last forever. And I got a hint of it, I want to say about 2 or 3 years ago, when the city started putting in the bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
So right when we were in a position to say, should we get some more? And I was literally even thinking about, no word of a lie, I was planning with my friends. I was going to go to Costa Rica and get into, or anywhere down south, and get into rental arbitrage, where I was going to rent a place from a landlord and then rent it out on Airbnb, make the difference. Like literally talking about going down to Costa Rica in the spring. And then COVID hit. So I would have been stuck with a whole bunch of leases if I did that, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. I was thinking it was the next coming. I was going, wait a minute.
Let's go.
I wasn't even wise to the whole arbitrage thing until late in this game. And if I would have done that, I would have been on the hook for a whole bunch of leases.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's part of it. I know that this lady's situation is not an isolated situation. I know a number of people purchasing a property, and the moment they got any equity were immediately purchased another one, purchased another one, purchased another one. So no equity in any of these properties. And then COVID hit, and immediately no one knew what to do, but everyone still had to make their mortgage payments, when you've got that many properties. And so there were people that really got hurt in that situation. And that's perhaps a risk of not measuring your steps, or perhaps, I don't know if that's greed or not. Who knows?
Look, they've been talking about the bubble bursting in Toronto
but you can't really plan it, right? I mean, it was a global pandemic, as you said. So what are you gonna say to that?
Yeah, and you got to know if you're smart enough to know that you to refinance and take money out and go get another place just to build the doors. Mm-hmm. If you're smart enough to do that, you also have to be smart enough, I think, to what's the worst that can happen.
Yeah. And like I said, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's calculating the worst that can happen in a normal world.
Yeah.
No one puts in that pandemic equation because no one knew about that. So you can't blame yourself. You just have to roll with it.
Right.
People are probably going, "Oh, it's so dumb," but it's like, no, it's just like look at all the restaurant owners and the salon owners and all those guys. Like my heart goes out to them too. Like they didn't have a pandemic in their business plan.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a good lesson to learn.
Yeah. Well,
now,
I was on a panel about 2 weeks ago, and one of the things that they were asking was, what do you see in the future? I said, well, let me look at my crystal ball. But one of the things I talked about was you have to put, just the same way if you had no real estate and you only had a job, you've got to put something aside as an emergency fund. And it's important if you're leveraged, if you've got properties, to put something aside, because you don't know what the rainy day is going to look like. And there's always a benefit to having something in the kitty ready to go.
Yeah, we were lucky because I bought these places early on, right?
Yeah.
I've got small mortgages on them. So I got a ton of equity. I took out a bunch of equity about 10 years ago when I bought our big house, the big rental. But I took out as much as I could. It was like almost $500,000 back then. But I was luckily, I built up the equity after that. So we were in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
And even though with the vacancies that we were dealing with, because the mortgages were so low, we could weather the storm a bit, right?
Yeah.
But I'm glad things are going back to having things filled.
So what's next for you now? What's next on the horizon? You've already got a number of doors. I know you're on social media. You're teaching people about those different landlord tips and tricks. And what's next for you? What's next for the Busboy Millionaire? And how did you get the name? You haven't told us that.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I said, I bet people are like, I had really two careers, which was advertising I talked to you about. And then from the time I was about 14 to the time right before I got my job in advertising, I was basically a career busboy. And I tried waitering, but it was too much pressure. I was just better off going cleaning tables and getting tips. And I don't want to do this, taking your order, remember stuff. So yeah, I worked at like a lot of the great restaurants in Yorkville. I worked at some of the great nightclubs when the nightclub scene was just taking off. Oddly enough, one of the busboy jobs I had was at a place in Yorkville, a place called Southside Charlie's.
Okay.
And it was one of those famous places right across there's a walkway in Yorkville, and Remy's is on this side and Southside Charlie's is there. And the sous chef or whatever, the busboys are the lowest guys on the ladder, right? Next to the dishwasher. But
yes, absolutely. And I've done both jobs too.
Right. Yeah, you know restaurant life. But those chefs, right? They're up here. This one guy reamed me out one night and he made me cry. I'm 15 years old and this like 20-year-old dude like scared the crap out of me and made me cry. I'll never forget that night. Irony being, I ended up working near Yorkville, and I remember I went, the restaurant had changed its name and it turned into something else, but it was still, the structure was still there. Mm. And I remember going in there and ordering, a client was there and we were having dinner and drinks and stuff like that. And I was just thinking about that night, and I go, here I'm sitting drinking, Dom Perignon or ordering fancy meals with this client, and I'm picking up the bill and it's getting expensed now. And to think that this is the same building that jerk made me cry. And I was going, yeah, okay. Things come around, man. It's bad at that point.
Wow.
But anyways, so the whole busboy thing is because that was that life I had then. But a big part of when you say, what am I going to do now, was I've always wanted to do this message. I thought I was going to write a book because I just wanted to get the idea across that I really came from no real estate background. I didn't come from money. I didn't have anybody in my family or friends that we were into real estate. Mm-hmm. I didn't have anybody to go to for advice. I just wanted to do it, and I found a way to do it. And I, like I said, I dropped out of university after a year, and I always wanted to put it out there that if I can do this, anybody can. Mm-hmm. You just have to. The information's out there, and I'm here now to pass on the information and offer help. And it's been amazing. The people that have asked me for help, and like I said, every other day I'm on the phone with somebody, like somebody new, like complete strangers. And they're just so grateful for the advice.
Right. For all that you've already gone through and able to help them with.
Yeah. And also from an ethnic point of view too, it's important to me.
Yeah.
I always say, like, a house doesn't care whether you're black, white, red, yellow, gay, straight, bi, trans. Real estate doesn't care. Neighborhoods might care, right? Yeah. But a real estate investment, it doesn't care what you are or what group you represent. It's just sticks and bricks, and you can do whatever you want to it and make it better and get some value and create some wealth.
Wow.
So I just want to keep pursuing Busboy Millionaire. grow it, give people some advice, hopefully inspire folks. And I'll keep investing. I don't know in what yet. Everything's kind of wonky. I was just on the phone with my brother-in-law, and he's a real estate agent, and he's just complaining that he can't win an offer for his buyers because things are going at like $100,000 over asking.
Yeah.
In markets outside of Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing that across the country for that matter. Wow. Okay. So if people want to get a hold of you, they want to get more of the Busboy Millionaire, how do they do that?
Just they can message me from Instagram or on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm not on Twitter. Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Yeah, just feel free. Just message me, and I'll return people's messages. No problem. Even the trolls. I love the trolls. The trolls are the best part.
You love the trolls.
Oh, I love
okay.
trolls.
And we're not talking about the movie. Okay.
No, the trolls on the those ones are always the best.
Right. Right.
I was just thinking about doing a whole channel just based on me answering trolls about real estate
and having fun while you're doing it. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
And any parting words that you'd like to pass on?
You know what? I'd say that one, it's real estate is one of these things that I think anyone could get into. Mm-hmm. And there's people always trying to time the market. You can't time the market. And the best time to get into real estate is now. And for younger folks, I always tell younger folks, I know you're afraid, but you can weather a storm. Like if there's a down cycle, you can get through it because of your age. And for older folks, I said, there's other options. If you haven't got that much time, there's other ways you can invest in real estate that you can use your experience, and hopefully you have some equity and some other things that you could still invest in it now. So don't try to time the market. The best time to do it is now. And you have to get over that fear. And once you get over it, you'll see how great it can be.
Wow. Arthur.
I don't know. Yeah, that's
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show. It was a great time, with none other than Busboy Millionaire. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Oh, Neil, I got a little tease for you before you go.
Oh, this is the reveal. We got an exclusive here. Oh, nice.
That's a little tease, a little something. I'm launching this pretty soon. Yeah, and it's going to be a nice addition to the whole information package and just a fun way of me giving out the information. I said I've read a bunch of real estate books, but I was too lazy to write an actual real estate book. That's why I did it on YouTube. But this is going to answer that craving for me, and hopefully folks will like it. And thanks for having me on, man. This was fun.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a great time. All right. Look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Okay. Take care, dude.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.